Thanks so much for watching our show. We really appreciate the support. It costs a lot to produce, so we're asking for donations and pledges here on Patreon. Thanks again. Hey, I'm Dr. Brad. Welcome to See It and Feel It with Dr. Brad. And I'm back with Jahmaal Hays here. And we just did a little segment on cancel culture, and now we're going to switch to sports. And I don't know if you know, but this is my favorite week of life here. The Masters. The Masters is on, special. Right? And so that's for those of you guys that don't know, every April, around the second week of April, it's like usually 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that, in Augusta, Georgia. The Masters is the first male major of the year, the men's major of the year.
And we got skimped last year, right?
And
did they manage to do it last year?
They put it together in the fall, but there were no fans, and it was a little flat. Dustin Johnson, who was #1 player in the world, won the Masters, but it was really, he won it like, it wasn't even close, and there were no fans. It was flat. I was disappointed. Usually, I'm like so excited. It's like crazy because the tradition, they say on CBS, Jim Nantz would say all the time, it's a tradition like none other, and I kind of like believe that. So what do you know as a lay person? You've been learning golf over the past year with me, but you're a relative lay person. So what do you know about the Masters?
The Masters, I mean, I know it's a big deal. I'm not so much into golf, but I'm in the business world. I know a lot of people that are, and they get super excited about the Masters, and it's hard to reach people sometimes. But it's a big deal.
Yes, that's awesome. So the Masters have been going on, I want to say almost Clifford Roberts and what's his name, Bobby Jones created the Masters, I want to say Augusta, Georgia, I want to say in the 1930s. I don't know, it's been a long time that they've been playing the tournament, and it's just gotten better and better every year. And now it's just something that they now are doing, like they did, like I think the U.S. Women's Amateur was being played now at Augusta National, and then they did the drive, chip, and putt contests with these little 11, 12, 13-year-olds and so on, the kids, and they did it at Augusta National. So it's just sort of growing in celebrity. Wow. But I wanted to talk about the first women's major of the year just last weekend, the Anna Inspiration in Rancho Mirage. We lived in the Coachella Valley in Palm Desert, maybe 20 minutes from this golf course in Rancho Mirage. And this woman, Patty Tawatanakit, I mean, that's more the way my wife would pronounce it. They were saying Tawatanakit on TV, but my wife is Thai, and she would say Tawatanakit. And so this woman was driving the ball over 315 yards on average, right? Over 315 on average, which is top male players in the world.
Right.
She's 21 years old, from Bangkok, Thailand, right? And she just won the first women's major, going away with it after Saturday. I watched the whole round on Saturday, which I almost never do. And then I watched the whole round on Sunday, and this woman from that used to be top in the world, Lydia Ko, shot a 10 under par 62 and almost caught Patty Tawatanakit. But Patty played so well. She was so tight, and she had such a big lead that she still won by 2 shots. And it was like one of these experiences that, like, where you're seeing like a star is born. Like this is like one of the next top golfers is Thai. And Tiger Woods is half Thai.
I was going to ask,
his mom's Thai.
Is golf a big thing in Thailand?
Well, there's 3 or 4 women golfers that are top like 50 in the world for women. The Asian golfers are just like, the Koreans dominate women's golf in general. There's like, I think they have 4 or 5 of the top 10 in the world. And then you have Japanese golfers and Chinese golfers that are also, inside the top 20 or so. So it's just really, there's just so much on the ladies tour where those countries, Thailand, Korea, Japan, and China, it's amazing just how good they are. And then we have Lexi Thompson, and we have other female golfers that are American that are top 20 or something. But it's not like the men, and it's a little bit different. It seems like in ladies golf, the top 20, 30 are really good and can win, whereas in the male sport, like in men's golf, it's almost like the top 100 are that good, right?
Oh, wow.
So there's just more. The competition is so severe to make it to the PGA Tour is so intense. So what are your thoughts on all this?
That's
I'm hitting them with a lot of golf.
That's a lot. So are there less female competitors overall?
I don't know if there's less. I just feel like it's not as severe yet in terms of the competition. Right? Because the Symetra Tour is underneath it's the feeder tour for the LPGA Tour in America. And then you have the Korn Ferry Tour. And my guess would be that the Korn Ferry Tour for the men, like the competition would be much rougher than the Symetra Tour, right? We interviewed a Symetra Tour golfer here for our podcast, right? But this new up and coming star is what I got really excited about, because it's like I was watching something very special.
So is that one of the big tours, like how we have the four for men's, the Masters,
so for women, you have the Anna Inspiration. Anna is a Japanese airline.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people don't know that, right? So they sponsor the first major. It used to be the Dinah Shore Invitational or Dinah Shore Classic or whatever that was. Remember that famous actress, Dinah Shore, Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, all the ones that created the sort of desert communities there. Like they made the Coachella Valley famous. Anyway, they would hold this tournament. Dinah Shore would host it, and they would hold that tournament. And then, like somewhere in the 1980s, it became the first women's major championship. And then they have the U.S. Open. They have the British Open. Okay. And then I think they have a PGA Championship as well, and they have one more. I don't follow the ladies' golf as much as I do the men's golf, but I think I was telling you last week when I was in Naples, I played golf with an 11-year-old and 14-year-old. Did I tell you this story? Yeah. So this was an amazing, I have to say this story because it was so amazing. So I was playing with the 14-year-old who's one of the top golfers in the state of Florida, and we were playing against her 11-year-old sister and her dad. And this 11-year-old smoked us so bad. Like she shot 34, 2 under par and smoked us in 9 holes. It was like, It was incredible, the performance on this little 11-year-old.
What did she drive?
She was just, she was playing forward tees. We were playing further back. The 14-year-old was hitting 250, just like me, really 250. But the 11-year-old was playing forward tees, but she literally hit every drive down the middle, hit her irons on the green, and then she made 3 birdies in 9 holes. And she had another probably 2 or 3 chances for birdies. And literally, and this is also true, is on the 9th hole, she literally turns to her dad, who wasn't playing that well. And she says to him, she goes, "Don't even bother." This is how tough this little...
That far ahead.
Yeah. Well, she knew she had it. She had it, and he didn't. So it was pretty amazing. But when you play with kids that are that good and that focused, it's pretty amazing to watch, because really golf, like every other sport, it responds to focus. So, that... like what I say all the time, 15 seconds of hyper focus, and then you try to let go in between, right? Otherwise, people burn out. When's the last time you played a round of golf?
Last time I played was with you in West Palm.
Wait, but you were filming though. Did you? How many shots did you have? I don't think you were playing much. Yeah, I know. Do you want to learn after all of this, after this year, or are you going to hit the road? What's the game plan?
I don't know if we'll get into golf yet. We're looking into traveling.
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about the travel.
Well, initially we were thinking of Bali, but with COVID and visa stuff, it's a little more complicated.
Does the baby have a passport yet?
Yes, we got his passport. We got his passport last month.
They have a 3-month-old, and now he's got a passport.
Yeah, he's 2.5.
Now, what happens with the passport picture? How's that work? So when he's 3, he still has a baby picture?
Oh yeah, it's like a regular children's passport. So if you're a minor, I think under 18 or 16, It's valid for 5 years, so it's a normal.
So at age 4, he's going to have a baby picture when he's traveling at age 4.
Picture. I don't even think he was a
now.
month
What
old when we took it.
since we have a sports psychology podcast going here, what sport might you introduce your son to if you had to, like, if someone was forcing you, like cancel culture? Like, no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've never gotten too much into sports. I played a lot with my friends as a kid. I think it's good just in terms of physical activity, coordination, and just learning sportsmanship and learning the social aspect. I played like football. We play, as kids, you play tackle football and
totally.
Who know gear, and
that's what we did. Our games would end, by the way, when someone took a knee in the eye, right. An elbow or knee in the eye, and then it would end.
Down. Yeah. So I appreciate good plays. I appreciate good talent. So if he's into anything, I support it. But I like football, basketball. We'll see how he does with cricket. Cricket's a Jamaican, West Indies.
Yeah, cricket you might have to explain to our audience a little bit. I don't think we have an international audience yet.
It's a tough one.
And my guess is most Americans are clueless around cricket. I know it has something to do with, like, it's a little bit, it's a cross between baseball and what?
Baseball and I don't know.
No.
Softball? I don't know.
You
run back and forth between.
Right.
All right. So
what is the cricket thing called? What is that thing called?
But instead of
because in baseball you have a bat. What is that called?
They call it a bat or a paddle sometimes.
A what?
Like hockey?
No, it's not really like a hockey stick. It's like a straight. Imagine a bat. And it's thick and it's flat.
No. So, did you grow up playing cricket?
No.
No.
I still don't understand
what did you
it, but
play
I
in Jamaica,
definitely played cricket.
When you lived in Jamaica, what did you play?
Friends.
We're going to get off of cricket right now because it's too complicated. I'm moving us off of cricket right now.
I swam, I snorkeled, I ran, I was a runner.
Wow. Long distance or what? I mean,
I was younger in Jamaica. Okay. But in sports, when I was young, like high school, up until high school, I ran.
And what about in the Bahamas? What was your sport in the Bahamas? We're gonna do international. Like we're gonna take us through sports and international.
A sprinter.
A sprinter?
Yep.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Well, Jamaicans, Bahamians are known for their like sprinting and running, right in the Olympics. By the way, we have the Summer Olympics coming up. Do you get into that at all? Do you watch the Olympics?
I do like getting into it, and like I like watching the sprinting. Sprinting is something like I definitely would get more into some sports if I could, like just over time. And skating, I've skated. Just my knees hurt, and so running is hard for me. It's hard for me to practice running for long distances.
Totally.
And I have asthma, so doing stuff for like trying to play a full game of basketball, like I start wheezing.
You suck air.
But
that's what we call it.
So I'm good starting off, but like it's just hard. And I don't do the inhaler thing.
Did all the years of yoga like shift your asthma?
I think so. I think it definitely helped in just learning how to breathe and control myself, control my nerves, and
what causes asthma? We're getting a little off track here, but I'm just really curious.
That's a good one. No, it's important. I mean, a lot of people that are into sports,
they struggle with asthma and stuff.
It's a constriction of. I'm not 100% on the anatomy there and the physiology behind it, but it's a constriction of your lungs. I want to say the bronchioles. But don't quote me on that.
No, we're not worried about that. But
so your lungs tighten up basically, and it's hard to breathe.
Right.
Because they're just so tight. It's hard to get air in and out. When normally your lungs they're like a balloon, or like bellows. You ever see bellows that they stoke fires with? So it pulls air in and pushes it out. And so that's how that's how the muscles in our abs work. Like bellows, it pulls the.
So if you have asthma, it's going to be hard to play basketball and stuff like that, where you got to sprint.
Yeah,
Did you ever have to do wind sprints and stuff like that, like as a kid?
Wind sprint? What's that?
Wind sprints, where you run up and down the court, or what? They just force you to run full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all of that. And I did kung fu. I started off in elementary school. I did taekwondo.
Oh, wow.
And then in middle school,
And
I did kung
taekwondo
fu.
is what? Is that the Korean?
It's Korean martial
Korean,
art. It's Korean
like,
striking-based martial
right.
art.
Is it similar to karate or no? What's the distinction there? As we go into many sports and many topics.
I don't know too much about karate. Yeah. It's just like a catch me all.
I talk to Jahmaal as if he's an expert on a lot of things. If you guys can't tell,
I'm an expert on a lot of things, but not sports. I'm a jack of all trades.
I just found out he's kind of an electrician or whatever. Like, I had no idea.
You can do it all. Yeah, because we'll get into the traveling aspect, but
yeah, that'll be one of our future podcasts, how to set up
but yeah, I don't know too much about karate. The way I imagine it, and I'm pretty sure taekwondo is a little more explosive, I think. So I don't know why in my head I want to compare it to taekwondo. I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah.
But I mean, not taekwondo. Taekwondo to Muay Thai.
And Muay Thai is just the Thai form of martial art as well.
Striking art. Yeah.
Right. And which one is it where you do more defensive, right? It's like you're learning how to jiu-jitsu? No, not jiu-jitsu.
Judo is a
judo.
Japanese
That's what I
one,
meant.
and
Judo. Right, where it's less,
they say
it's less striking and more like, learning how to move.
They say jiu-jitsu is based a lot on principles from judo.
Oh, got it.
Jiu-jitsu is originally Japanese, and then Brazilian jiu-jitsu developed. But judo is about using, and they do this a lot in jiu-jitsu as well, but using your opponent's body weight and their own energy against them. So if someone's coming at you, you don't go at them. You channel their energy elsewhere, and that's the one where there's a lot of grapples and flips. That's where, like, a 12-year-old girl could flip a 200-pound man. It's just all leverage, and it's physics, really.
If she
but
puts her foot out the right way.
Using their energy against them.
Right.
And that's very defensive. And there's so many others. There's like Aikido, I think, which is mostly, it's similar principles.
And if you had to do it over here, like, is there a sport you would like focus on? Because we've interviewed a lot of athletes, and they have regrets, right? You don't strike me as the kind of person in general that has a lot of regrets, because like you live more in the present moment than a lot of people do. But all of us, if we had to do things differently, like my twin brother, for example, says, because we wound up with no size, we graduated high school, I wound up 5'9", 170, but I graduated high school at 5'7", 130. And so we wanted to play in baseball. We had no size. It went nowhere. He wished we had stayed with tennis because we were so good at age like 10, 11, 12. And then we quit to play baseball. And he kind of regrets it because in tennis, maybe we would have had a little further of a chance.
Had more potential.
Right. Maybe, for college anyway. Right. But I don't know about beyond that. But is there something that you would have done differently?
I definitely wish I did more running. More running. Swimming is a hit and miss. Swimming can be hard for me, but swimming is pretty good for your lungs and good for your body.
How do you swim with that?
Nowadays,
because I watched him swim with me last summer, and I thought we were going to lose him. I thought he was going to drown on me. I'm thinking he's 28 years old. I'm like, I don't know how old I am. Why is this guy sucking air trying to swim? But I think his hair got like
tied. It was out like a parachute.
Like I started worrying about him,
parachute.
And I'm like 54 years old or whatever I am.
Now I got to figure out swimming again, and with the tide and the waves and.
Your hair's pretty light. I didn't realize that.
It's light.
I've never really
It's just when it's wet.
It got really heavy, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? You got weighed down.
But yeah, if I were to do it again, that's a good question.
All right, maybe this will be one of the questions I ask our audience, each time. And there's another question I'm going to start asking. Besides, that's a good one. Like, what would you do over? And the other question I want to start asking is, how do you process fear?
Fear. How do I process fear? Is that a rhetorical question, or are you actually asking me now?
I'm going to ask you that question just because I think it's a good question. We'll start asking everybody.
Fear.
Like, what kinds of situations make you scared, and how do you process fear?
That's a good one. First of all, it's hard for me to identify fear. I usually combat fear, so I don't deal well with fear. First, like I'm not afraid of a lot of things, so I don't feel myself as a fearful person. I'm usually calm in a lot of situations. Like I've been through a lot. I've been through natural disasters. I think the only thing I haven't been through is a volcano.
No volcanoes.
Been through earthquake. Haven't been through the tsunami, but I think hurricane and tidal waves is kind of there.
That counts. Tidal waves in particular.
Earthquake.
That definitely counts.
Terrorists, you name it, bombings. I've seen it all. So I'm not really. People don't do on the individual level. People don't scare me. Crowds scare me sometimes. Like if there's a crowd. Like I've had this happen to me, like there's a crowd, there's an explosion. My number one fear is like a stampede and like people just being unorganized. And
well, you're tall enough to handle the stampede, but I mean,
I'm fortunate, but it's still not
but
fun.
other people
and
are not.
Yeah,
no,
and like
totally.
if you and it's hard to understand this, but if you've ever been in a crowd, like it's kind of scary when you've ever been in a crowd so thick that you have people pushing at you from all directions that you can literally pick up both feet. And you're
that's pretty messed up. We all know that, in soccer games in Europe, people have died in
They
stampedes.
have? I didn't know.
Oh,
that.
yeah, totally.
Oh, stampedes, yeah.
Yeah, in stampedes, right?
For sure.
That reminds me of like the running with the bulls. I can't see you doing.
No, I wouldn't.
I can't see you running with the bulls. He's not scared, but it's just
I'm not
like
scared.
one of those things you just don't sign up for.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good idea.
No, totally.
So yeah, I'm not scared of a lot of stuff, but people, I definitely I'm on edge. But usually there's certain scenarios, and I usually transform it. I usually lash back. So I'll that's typical fight or flight. I'll either fight or I will, so my fear turns into feelings of, and if there's no actual fight, it turns into anger or frustration and that kind of stuff. Totally. So I'm not so much fearful. I'm as annoyed and frustrated and all this other stuff. Or it turns into, like apathy. I don't want anything to deal with it. I don't like approaching things.
I think that's
from
a common occurrence from longer exposure to fear. Like when you run fear over longer, you
become like whatever. It's
right.
Yeah.
And the anger is a short-term boost that you get, right, when you have to handle a situation that you're scared of potentially.
Yeah, and if you think of like practical use,
like
practical, like using that energy in a productive way to get you out of a situation, or I like to think our physiology is working with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I like it.
So our emotions, if you're feeling fear, it's not something to be afraid of or something to shy away from or to avoid.
Well, I think that's more than anything.
It's a message.
Yeah, but I think that's the message you want to get across, right? Again, we do a lot of work with athletes, but it doesn't matter who you are. You want to learn how to process fear in a way that's healthy, right? And so first you have to be aware of it, in touch with the fact that you're scared. And then you want to be able to slow down, breathe. I know you breathe, right? But a lot of people don't always breathe. Like, so they, because then you can calm your nervous system down. And then, not have to make most of the time, unless you have to make a instant decision, you don't want to. You want to take your time.
If you don't breathe, then
unless you have to,
your brain, your whole body, your nervous system's in fight or flight. So that's what your physiology is preparing you for, fight or flight. So if you're not breathing and changing that, then that's going to be your reaction.
I like it. All right, I'm Dr. Brad. I was here again with Jahmaal Hays. We've covered a wide range of topics, but we really like this idea going forward of helping people address fear everywhere in their lives and to overcome it. Hey, thanks. Thanks for watching See It and Feel It with Dr. Brad, and stay tuned for part 2 of this interview. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend.